Hello there folks, and welcome back to the channel for another Ark Survival Evolved video. We're back doing an Ark's tale, beating every boss, taming everything, you know the drill and all that jazz. Starting out by having a good study of the taming board, seeing what we've got tamed and what we still have left to tame. We're going to try and make a serious dent in this today, as we grab some dino gates that we can use as a trap, get on our RG and head out to make a start on what is surely going to be a very busy day. Heading out towards the coast. At this point we're not really sure what we're going to end up taming, but we do want to make a start on getting some ocean tames really as soon as possible. And as soon as we arrive at the coast, I see one of my nemesis creatures and decide to make a start here. With the gun ready, it decides it has other ideas and flies away. But that's not going to stop me as I aim down the sights and fire, and it's a hit. And as it's now flying towards me, it makes the next shot a lot easier. However, after the second hit, it decides to fly away again on its torpor run, which is typical. But me being me, not paying attention to the fact that I'm trying to knock it out while it's over the water, there's obviously only one way this is going to go. Which is of course the way it did go, as I watch it slowly drown in the water. Knowing nothing can be done to save it, or more importantly, nothing I can be bothered to do to save it, the hatchet does get pulled out and it can go towards making a new saddle for something else. And it doesn't take too long before we actually start taming something. A good old dolphin that we can hopefully use to tame other creatures at sea. So, into a cryopod it goes, and we move on to the next one, which just so happens to be a turtle. And at this stage I wasn't really planning on using them for anything, but after watching this back I do realise that I'm going to have to use the turtle for like Tuso taming and stuff. Which does remind me, black pearls on the island. Not really looking forward to that. So with that said, I will have to come back and tame some more, so I'll have to keep an eye out for some higher levels after this point. Another thing that we need to do is get a love partner for the dolphin that we tamed earlier, so we got to that. But while doing so, there was another that didn't seem to want to be without its buddy, so of course we tamed that as well. But when going back to check on the turtles we had taming, the thing that nearly always happens to me happened. That being, the Ark gods thought it would be a very funny idea to spawn a Therry on top of them. So with one turtle dead, we take out our frustrations on said Therry. And then we jump immediately back into the water to knock out this shark that got itself stuck. Which meant we didn't have to fanny about with those dino gates that we picked up earlier. Remember when I said this was going to be a busy day? Well, it kinda is, because we go straight back to my favourite pastime of shooting seagulls. Which was promptly spoiled by a group of pegos deciding to crash the party. So after dealing with the rat posse and getting our trank arrows back from them that they cheekily tried to steal from me, it was back to the seagull shooting. And well, I'll just let you watch this bit because it's really frustrating and it happens all the bloody time. But after the Ark gods finally allowed a shot to register, down it went. And while we were waiting for the Pego of the Skies to tame, my second favourite pastime again, turtle shooting, yeah! And shoving berries up their bums, yeah! And then doing the same but passively this time to a good old Mozchops as well as a Lystro. We need both, so we're gonna get both. It didn't take long for the Lystro to become our friend, however, the damn Mozchop seemed incredibly reluctant to follow suit. Maybe it's just one of those anti-berry up the bum kind of Mozchops, I guess. Either way, it took a very long time before it wanted to eat again. As did the seagull actually, but for some weird reason I decided to stop recording the moment it woke up, as you can see by the final frame I recorded of the event. On our way back to the treehouse we do spot a purple drop in the distance. At this stage we're going to need every drop we come across, keeping our fingers crossed for a saddle or a weapon or some armour, but no. This is Ark of course, and it's going to give me a blueprint for a silencer, because you know, everybody kinda needs a silencer blueprint, don't they? After taking a detour while not recording, we do arrive back at the treehouse with a trusty frog in tow, ready to be dropped into the trap. All that's left to do is fill it full of trank darts to knock it out. And when I say fill it, what I really mean is just 2 darts, because being at an amazing level 5, that's all it needs, which is great for me really. And with all the new creatures joining the family, it was time to check them off the taming board. So dolphins, done. Male seagull, done. Turtles, done. Sharks, done. Mozchops, done. And frogs, done. And with all the new tames put away, it was obviously time for some victory jumps under the stairs to work up a sweat and give ourselves a healthy dose of diarrhea, which we could then convert into fertiliser for the crops. Infinite fertiliser, you've got to love it. And the next part of base maintenance, if you can call it maintenance, is to collect eggs from the terror birds so we can use them for the bosses, because yes, we are going to use terror birds for the bosses and it's going to be hilarious. But just in case they don't actually work, we do have a backup of some bears, so we're going to set them all on for love mode as well. So collecting more terror bird eggs and then claiming the baby teddy bears before knocking out one of these glidey birds that I can never actually pronounce the name of. And for some reason I always seem to think it's tree sap when it's not. I know it's not, but I always seem to think that when I knock it out. But eventually we do put the right stuff in, which is chitin or chitin, however you want to pronounce it. And you know what that means? We get to check it off the list. Done! And for the final part of base maintenance, it was finally time to join the modern age and craft an industrial grill, so we can actually have some decent food for our travels. No more relying on berries, or campfires for that matter. And after placing the grill and making sure we could access both the fabricator and the grill, it was time to start prepping for the final goal of the day. Grabbing a teddy bear and a terror bird, it was to another cave we went. Parking the RG out of reach of any nasties that might want to eat it, and throwing out the terror bird, it was inside the cave we went. Not being entirely sure of the way and getting teleported into a wall as Ark always loves to do, we do press deeper into the cave, eventually seeing where some of the natives dwell. And of course, being a cave, we do expect to see a lot of bats as well as centipedes, desperately trying to avoid its spit, but in vain, as it still manages to get me without even looking at me, it seems. So without any armor, we do decide to fall back, fighting the Ark gods who still like to teleport me into that damn wall. We managed to grab the other armor and its fur, so we'll actually be a bit warmer this time. Dealing with the bats no problem this time without their arthroplural ally to help them, and then deciding to ignore the rest of the natives from this point on so we could actually get to the artifact a lot quicker. Making an exception for this scorpion that for some reason gave me a funny look, we finally managed to reach the bottom of the cave, where of course more centipedes laid in wait to greet us. And it was this point where I realised that even though I placed the new grill, I didn't actually cook any meat in it, so it's raw meat on the menu for us tonight. But it will do to stop the tummy rumbly, and we don't really want to have a rumbly tummy when we're fighting stuff in the water, because there was no way of avoiding actually getting into the water, despite me trying to use the terror bird's ability to glide over it. It just wasn't enough. So after fighting the Sarco and the ever-growing pack of piranhas, we finally managed to get a foothold on the edge of the water. All that was left to do was to try and take the terror bird up to the top, but it wasn't having it, so we're going to have to leave the terror bird behind. Getting out the grapples just in case my foot slips on a wet rock or something. We do manage to make it up to the top without using the grapples, thankfully. And at the top I do see some bats in the distance, but wait, it's a good job I brought a teddy bear. So after the bear had his share of the action, we finally arrived at the goal, the artefact. Woohoo! So carefully back down towards the terror bird, making sure I don't slip off, giving it a quick feed to make sure it's fully healed, a nice swim back to the other side of the water, and trying to make a break for it to the top of the cave before of course getting stuck on another centipede, and you guessed it, getting thrown into that wall again, before finally reaching the sunlight. It's glorious, and we didn't lose any tames. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a victory. So with the artifact now ours, all that's left to do is to return to base on our trusty and somehow still alive RG, and get the artifact on display to mark our achievement. And so with that being said, I'm afraid that means we've finally reached the end of this episode of the adventure. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching, and hopefully it hasn't sounded too much like I'm reading from the script, which I am. It would be awesome to see you join me for the next episode, where we'll probably be doing a mix of like something stupid, as well as importantly stupid. But don't forget to hit the like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button as well. Links to all the important stuff is in the description, and with all that said, thanks for watching to the end, and bye for now.